Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Thursday, June 27th, and we are here answering your financial questions and hopefully guiding you towards where you want to go. We do that by asking you to do a tiny bit of work. Go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and let us know if you would like to come on the air with us, and Mark does everything else. While you are on the website, you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter, you can read the blog, you can check out resources, and if you've got a few bucks to spend, you can subscribe to our service called Jill on Money Live. That is where you have access to quarterly live webinars for a year and also bonus video content. Now, even if you were unable to subscribe to join us in time for the Heather Schreiber Social Security extravaganza that took place on Tuesday night, don't worry. You can subscribe right now. You'll pay the $35 for the next 12 months, and you can go and watch the Heather Schreiber webinar yourself. I know it's not the same as being there live, but it is pretty darned good. Today, we are talking about something that you all actually inspired. I have been thinking so much about some of the conversations that we've had about the cost of parenting that you have raised on this program. And I pitched the idea of a segment on this topic to CBS Mornings, and they said, okay, they liked it. So here is the segment that aired on Tuesday morning. Our anchors are Vladimir Duthier, Gail King, and Tony Jacopel. And on the other side of this, I want to talk about a few other issues that we didn't get to in this segment that I think are incredibly important. Here is the segment from CBS Mornings.
In today's Money Watch, we're talking about the high cost of parenting. Although inflation has dropped sharply over the past 2 years for many things, parents don't seem to be getting much relief. A recent report found that the average annual cost of childcare in the U.S. more than $11,500 last year. And of course, that doesn't count a full-time nanny. And in some areas, you can be paying 2-3 times higher. We're going to get into all that. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger is here. Jill. Whew. All right. So I want to say what's behind the high cost of childcare, but I'm also mindful of the fact that the people doing the childcare say that's a salary for me. Maybe it should be higher.
Well, before the pandemic, childcare costs were creeping up. It was sort of insidious. So you talk to a middle-income family and they were like, oh, my God, this is so expensive. Then the pandemic hit. Childcare centers closed. And the people who were working there said, I've got to find another job. Guess what? It was easier to find a job elsewhere making more than, want to hear the average for last year, is under $15 an hour for a childcare worker. So you could basically say, I'll go work in a warehouse and make more than that, and I'll get benefits. So the cost of childcare is now so much higher than the government recommends. The government recommends using 7% of your income for childcare.
Pre-tax.
Pre-tax. Now it's running 10% for couples. And if you're a single person and you're raising a kid, it's 30%. So
what's the average cost per hour nowadays for childcare? You said back then it was $14.
No, last year,
under $15.
$14.60.
Wow,
$14 last year.
So, I mean, you can make that working in an Amazon warehouse.
Exactly.
And the packages don't run off or use the restroom. So, I mean, it seems like, what's the takeaway from that data?
Well, I think the takeaway is that childcare costs are rising, and we don't do a lot to help people. We want to do more, but people are making very specific choices. I want to be clear about this, that especially women.
There we go.
Look at those numbers. Those are just weekly numbers. So, if you want a nanny, it's $40,000, and you want daycare, it's $17,000. But, women especially are making choices that I think are really smart for their families, but they can be sort of dangerous. So what I mean is they're taking time out of the workforce. They're saying, I will go home and raise my kid for 3, 4, 5 years. But what does that do? It means they're not contributing to their own retirement.
Right.
It means that the family might not be as financially stable. Or they're taking jobs that are not great jobs. They're staying in sort of dead-end jobs because they need the flexibility. So there are risks to these choices.
So are there resources to help people with childcare expenses?
There really are. And
They're called grandparents.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll get to that in a second. But there are federal and municipal resources. Childcare.gov. It is a magic website, frankly. There are vouchers and there are programs. There are actually really important places where you can find help. Now, this is geared, it's state by state, and it is geared towards lower earning families. But you never know. You've got to plug the numbers in. If you work for a big company, don't forget to use dependent care accounts. These are basically tax preferenced accounts that you can pay for your child care. And of course, you've got to claim all of the tax credits that are due to you.
Okay, so we went through the resources that are available for a lot of families. But one thing we didn't get to touch on, which I think is incredibly important, is how families often rely on grandparents and other family members to help them with childcare. Now, the real question is there anything wrong with that? And you know I talk to you guys all the time about this. Presuming that the person or the people helping out are financially stable, providing assistance should be fine. But I noticed a Bankrate survey recently that came out, and 61% of the parents that helped out their adult children say that doing so has meant making significant sacrifices in their own lives, like dipping into their own emergency reserve fund, or delaying the paydown of debt, or pulling back on their retirement savings. I do worry about this because helping another person in your family or a younger generation today could put the grandparents or the person helping at risk in the future. Of course, no parent, no family member wants to be in the position of asking their children for help later in life. So to avoid this, I think it's really important to have open and honest conversations about how family members can help each other out without putting either party in a bad or compromised financial situation. The same Bankrate survey said that almost half of adults who are 23 and older say they're receiving ongoing financial assistance from their parents or guardians for housing and expenses and paying down debt. And I know you parents, you want to help. But before you do, there need to be some ground rules. You know, if your adult child is moving back home, let's set a specific target time that he or she will move out. And maybe you need to determine whether or not you're going to charge rent or have them kick in for utilities or groceries. Look, I don't say they're going to pay a ton, but even just a token amount so that they understand what you're providing is something of value. If you are going to help out for a large outlay, like buying a house, maybe you want to consider putting it into writing. This is so important if you have more than one child, obviously, but you can establish this lump sum as a gift that might offset future inheritance or a loan that will be repaid. Whatever you decide, just make sure the terms are clear and that both sides can agree to them and stick to them. If you have a question about helping out a family member, an adult child, or maybe an adult child helping an older parent, whatever it is, if there's something going on between these generations and someone needs your financial assistance, but you're scared, you don't know how to do it, or you don't want to blow your own goals, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button, and please let us know if you would be willing to come on the air live with us. While you're on the website, don't forget to check out the YouTube show, Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. You can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. And don't forget to do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.